Hello, everyone. This is Stacy. Welcome to The Landing. Today's guest is someone who proves that retirement does not mean stepping away from teaching. It just means your classroom gets a whole lot bigger. A lifelong Down East resident, she spent her career in education shaping minds, and now she continues that work by sharing her love for the place she calls home. If you've ever met her, you already know her appreciation for home isn't something she keeps to herself. She lives it, speaks it, and passes it on every single day. Whether she's telling a story, pointing out something special along the water, or simply laughing with friends, she has a way of making you see this community with fresh eyes. She is joy, she is pride, and she is one of the bright lights of our community. I cannot wait for you to spend a little time with her today. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to The Landing. We have a wonderful guest for you today, and I am thrilled to have her here with us. I've loved her a long time. And so before we go any further, if you will, share with us your name, who's your crowd, and where you're from.
Okay, my name is Lillie Chadwick Miller. I married a Miller from Beaufort, and I've lived at Straits my whole life. Not going to tell you how many years, but it's been a while. But yeah, I'm the Chadwicks that lived at Straits.
Yes. And Miss Lillie is very busy, and we have been trying to connect for a while. So I am really excited to have her across the table from me today. So we are going to jump right in. And I want you to tell us a little bit about what it was like growing up in Straits.
Okay, well, Straits seems like a different community. We're so close to Harkers Island, but we were a different group of people. But growing up, I was a little girl with 3 boy cousins. I didn't have any siblings, I was a single child, not spoiled. but
We'll debate that later.
Yeah, we'll talk about that later. And we had a few friends, girlfriends down there, lived in Straits too. And mainly we met at church, and Sunday afternoons we played together and stuff. But most of the time I was a tomboy and played with my male cousins. Mm-hmm. But quiet. And I was thinking about it on the way over here this morning. I think we were poor. I never felt poor, but looking back and thinking about how things were, we were very simple life, and I never wanted for anything. My mother and dad were not because I was spoiled, but they always made sure I had what I needed, and that sort of thing. But the other part about living in Straits too, it was most of your encounters with other folks was church. Mm-hmm. And church was like the center of everything, like it had been for many years before.
Yes.
But Straits at one time was a rather large church. And,
where was it located?
Same place it is right now. But the fellowship hall of the church was Straits School.
Oh, really?
And it was actually located right beside where the church is now. Uh-huh. And at some point when the school was not operational any longer, the church took that building and attached it to what was the sanctuary, and that became part of the fellowship hall.
Oh, that is
still there.
So we're talking a long time ago.
Oh, yeah. And wow. My dad went to school there. He did go to Smyrna and then he went to the 11th grade at that time. Mm-hmm. He did go to Smyrna school for some years. I don't know how many, but his elementary school was right there at Straits School.
That is neat. Uh-huh. I had never heard that before.
Yeah. And, there is Gloucester right next to Straits, mm-hmm. but that was not always Gloucester. It was also part of Straits. And I won't tell the whole story about that, but at some point, some of the folks that lived in what is now Gloucester wanted a post office, and so they were able to get that, however that process went. And then that area was called Gloucester. And
Okay.
you know that when you pass the church, that marsh area, down that little curve, that's the boundary between Straits and Gloucester.
And that road, what's the name of that road?
Straits
It's
Road.
Straits Road, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, well, that's interesting
Mhm.
too. So Straits used to be big.
I mean, years
bigger.
ago, Straits was pretty much from where it is now all the way through Marshallburg. And eventually Gloucester became Gloucester, and then Marshallburg became a different community too. But at one time, my 9th generation back, Samuel Chadwick, owned all of that. That's where all us Chadwicks came from.
That is neat.
Yeah.
Huh.
I think he, somewhere around the early 1700s is when he came to this area.
Mm-hmm.
And not that he was the only one that ever was a whaler, but he was the first one in the state that actually was given a certificate or named a privilege license to be a whaler by the governor of North Carolina.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's a big
And
deal.
a replica of that plaque that he was given, of course, now it's in renovation, but the Maritime Museum in Beaufort has that.
Has that. Wow.
But that's where all the Chadwicks came from.
Was from his line.
Yeah, and he was like from Massachusetts. And I'm sure his descendants came from England, that area. That's mainly where they were. But
right. So, and Straits was named Straits because of the water. The
yeah,
body of
I
water.
assume so. Yeah.
Yeah, that would make sense.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, that's pretty interesting. Now, when you grew up, was it heavily populated, or was there people nearby? Like, how was? Because now when you go through Straits, of course, it's changed.
Oh yeah, it's changed tremendously. From the bridge to Crow Hill Road in that area, and then even back where Chadwicks lived.
Mm-hmm.
My family, my Chadwicks anyway.
Right.
There were some cousins that right on the curve, there was a guy Chadwick that lived there, and he had several siblings. Norman Chadwick. Can't think of the other names, but cousins. So we all kind of lived right there. But there were Chadwicks, beyond just Straits area. Yeah. Now, where Harbor Point is now, that was just mainly farmland. And Gerald Whitehurst used to be, he farmed. You remember the watermelons that used to be there at Straits?
Yes.
Ben Watson. Now, he farmed and lost many watermelons, I'm sure. different ones going there. But it was not heavily populated. I mean, I can think of families that lived along the main road. There weren't that many side roads, at that time. But
yeah, that's what I was thinking. And even now, like where your house is, the lots. I mean, it was big plots of land, and it's so different.
And so unlike anything that nowadays, the way children grow up and they move away and that sort of thing, I was surrounded by family, whether they were cousins that were kind of distant cousins, or all of us were right there. Mm-hmm. Daddy had 4 other siblings. One moved away, who was actually principal of Arkansas Island School at one point.
Oh, wow.
Claude Chadwick, yeah. Anyway, he moved away, and after he was a principal and taught school, he moved in Swansboro. But all the other Chadwicks in the family lived right there. And like I say, Christopher's the only one that wants to stay.
Uh-huh. And Christopher's your son.
Christopher's my youngest son. Dennis, he lives still in the house that his mother and daddy lived in. And my other cousin, Doug Dameron, he lived in Robertsonville most of his life, but he's moved back to his roots. Yeah. But I was always surrounded by family, and we always went to one another's houses, and ate together and played together and did all that.
Yeah.
I miss that my children didn't get to know them because Daddy was the youngest. Actually, he was born when Uncle Claude, the oldest, was 20 years old.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
May have been a mistake, but
but whatever, right?
Yeah.
He came.
Yeah, but
20 years.
So my children were able to know my aunts and uncles because of the age stuff.
Yeah.
But
I know. I think about that with my 2 kids,
mm-hmm.
that they don't know, they know their cousins and love their cousins, but it's not the same as fighting with them and playing with them and every day, day in and out, like we did. So, but it's a different kind of relationship now for
Yeah,
sure.
exactly.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about school and things for you. Like where did you go and
Okay,
how was
so
that?
the way the school districts are set up, I lived in Smyrna district, and Smyrna was still a high school then, and Harkins Island high school kids had started going to Smyrna. I don't know how many years prior to me starting school did that become high school for Harkins Island kids too, but I rode the high school bus. And I don't know that we picked up anybody else that was elementary except me. We may have, probably did, but I got on the high school bus.
So you rode to elementary school on the high school bus with high
Uh-huh.
school kids.
All Harkins Island kids.
Oh
But yeah,
wow.
I was quiet. And Joe Boy, who was my, everybody knows Joe Boy, I'm sure.
Yes.
He told me where to sit, front row, front seat, where he could keep an eye on me. And
I love it.
I got a couple stories, but it was all I never have felt good in the morning. You know, kind of my stomach was queasy or whatever. So I'd always tell myself, I don't feel good today. You know, I have to go to school. Yes, you have to go to school. So this one morning, I really didn't feel good. And I got on the bus, sat in that seat, and Reed Sparks, and I think it was Linwood Parker, sat on the other side of me. So the bus must have been packed for us to have three in a seat. But anyway, well, I knew I was sick in my stomach, and I did. And poor Reed and poor Linwood, I think, got brunt of it. So anyway, I went home. I think they had to go home too.
I bet they did.
Yeah, I'm sure. And I'm sure they were not very happy with me, but I couldn't help it. I thought, tell Mother.
I tried to tell her.
I told her I did. In fact, I told her, I told you I didn't feel good.
God bless.
But that's really the only remembrance of riding the bus and being intimidated. I remember, I don't remember this. Mother said the first day of school, which was first grade because we didn't have kindergarten, I would not let her stand out there with me. I am getting on this bus by myself.
Oh my
So
gosh.
I kind of had a mind of my own, but I never taught back. I never did, but I let her know that time, no, you're not staying out here.
Yeah, you definitely. I've got to get on this big bus
Yeah.
with high schoolers.
Yeah.
No, you're not staying here, Mom.
But
Oh, that's funny.
so I went to Smyrna. And I remember every teacher I had along the way. But and of course the high school kids were totally separated from us little kindergarten or first grade crowd. But I can remember the building and classrooms. I remember going back one time, maybe I was in high school, and I walked in the classroom. I thought, oh my gosh, the blackboard's so low to the ground. Why it don't look right, you know? But there was where you met all your friends from down east, except from Davis, Otway, Straits and stuff. But still have a few friends now. I was friends with then, still friends now.
Yeah. Oh, that's good.
Yeah, it was a fun time.
Wow. Now, when you were going through like middle school and high school, did sports teams or extracurricular stuff, like did you participate in any of that?
I can remember the first day of 7th grade thinking, oh, I can be a cheerleader now. So we did the cheerleading thing in 7th and 8th grade. And of course, then when I went to East Carteret, it was me and Bobby Davis and Libby Lewis all were chosen as cheerleaders. The East Carteret. So, we thought we were super stuff,
Oh, yeah.
Really, at that time when I was in high school, there were no girl sports. There was no volleyball. There was no basketball.
Wow.
And I think Pauline Walker, you remember her?
Yes.
I think she may have been the first girls basketball coach.
Oh, wow.
She was somewhere along the way. May not have been the first, but she was one of the first ones anyway.
Yeah.
But all we had was cheerleading.
Wow.
Isn't that funny?
That is funny.
No, I didn't have it. JV started at 5:30 and varsity ball started 7 o'clock. So.
Wow. Yes, I do remember Miss Pauline Walker.
Yeah.
Yes.
She was a card.
She was a card.
Yeah.
I liked her a lot though. Sharp as a tack.
Oh, yeah.
Now, when you graduated, where did you go to college?
I went to ECU, and I was thinking on the way over here too of the 5 cousins that lived there at Straits. All but one of us went to college. And
that's a big deal.
It is a big deal because, like I said, we were not rich farmers. My grandparents didn't have much at all. He ran the store across the road. But somehow we made it happen, I guess. But I never questioned. It was instilled in me from the moment I drew my first breath. I think you're going to college. I
Mm-hmm.
think our Uncle Claude, he had a big impact on his siblings to make sure you kids go, and we
Wow.
all did.
Wow. I
Isn't that
mean,
weird?
yeah, but that is a huge
Yeah,
deal to
yeah,
do that. So you went to ECU and you were a teacher.
I did, and I would. So I knew I wanted to teach. I can remember as a youngin, I would set up those little metal trays.
Oh
Everybody had
yes.
those.
Oh
I
yes.
set it up in an extra room we had, and I teach school. I always wanted to be a teacher,
Oh.
and maybe that was from the good experiences I had with teachers I had as elementary school. But so anyway, I knew I wanted to teach, and I knew I wanted to teach high school. I didn't care what I taught. I just wanted to teach high school.
Really? You really liked that bus ride.
Yeah, I guess so. I don't
They
know.
didn't intimidate you from day
No,
one.
it didn't matter. I threw up all over them. But so I chose business education.
Oh wow.
I don't know why. I just did. That was a good one. Okay, I like this. So anyway, I got my degree in that. Well, in a typical county, there's not many business education teachers. East Carter
Right.
had 2 at the time, and West Carter probably had the same number, maybe 3. Well, I didn't get a job the first semester after I graduated, but I substituted.
Mm-hmm.
So come January, and that was the first year they had the competency test. So kids that didn't pass it the first time, they had to be remediated.
Right.
So I did the math part, and another friend, we met at that time, she did the reading part.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it was just that semester I did that, and then they couldn't find a math teacher. At that time, math teachers were very hard to find.
Wow.
So Tom Sawyer, who taught at East,
Mm-hmm.
he and Mr. Parrish, the principal, came up and said, why don't we get her to teach the math and we'll call it business math? So for the first year or 2, I did consumer math and general math. I told Mr. Parrish, I said, I don't care what I teach. Just make sure I have a job.
Yeah.
So right at the end of that second year, I think, or maybe it's just the first year, it came out that you got to be certified in the subject that you're teaching.
Okay.
So,
Mm-hmm.
and at the same time, Candace wanted to go back and get her master's, so I went back and got my master's to get certified in math.
Okay.
So that's how I got into the math department.
Had no idea.
Who knew?
Now
Yeah.
we know.
Yeah,
Because when I came through, you were a math teacher.
yeah.
That
Last room on the right.
Last room on the right. That's exactly right.
Yeah.
Wow. And you taught for how many years?
18. Taught for 18 years. And a bunch of us at the time, East Carolina would come to the county to get some teachers to get in the master's program in administration.
Mm-hmm.
So it was convenient.
Wow.
My
So
land,
where they came? Where
they
do you
came
mean they
here.
came here?
We met Carter Community College. I think we met most of the time.
Wow.
And then a couple times we went to Kinston to Lenore Community and met there. That was another funny story about that. But
Wow.
and a few times we had to go to ECU. Of course, I don't know how long that lasted. Not very long, and it just maybe they didn't have the participation or whatever.
Wow.
But yeah, it was convenient. Got it, and then before we graduated, maybe a year before we graduated, 3 of us or 4 of us were able to get assistant principal jobs. Of course, they needed assistant principals, and because the program, the county, bought into it, and ECU came here, and you could get a job as an assistant before you finished the program at that time.
Wow.
I don't know if they still do that.
Mm-hmm.
So that's when I went to administration. I started at Croatan High School, which was a new school. That was a great experience. The whole thing was really good. I stayed there 3.5 years, I think. And then I transferred to West. I didn't. They transferred me to West. Well, that was weird.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I walked down and thought, why am I here? But that was a good experience as well. Working with Mr. Patrick, who just passed
awesome.
away. Yeah.
Yes, he was so good.
Huge school. And I really got to know many of the kids. With 1,500 kids, you wouldn't, and I didn't know all of them, but I knew faces and that sort of thing. And then stayed there 2 years, and then I went to Newport Elementary.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Talk about a change.
Yes.
And it reminded me why I didn't want to teach elementary school.
It confirmed that.
I did the right thing.
Uh-huh.
And then after a couple years there, stepping up in at Smyrna, and I was transferred there, which worked out really well because Mother had already passed in 2001, and Dad hadn't moved. He had not moved in with us at that time, but he was having some health issues, and I was 5 minutes away.
Right.
So that was a really good move. And
yes.
But they in Smyrna had the middle school, so that helped a little bit.
Yeah.
Little kids. I wasn't used to little kids.
Yeah. Yeah.
I got along well.
Yeah.
But,
I love little kids, but I'm the same. I can't imagine like teaching them or
kindergarten,
being
first
in a room.
grade.
Oh no.
Yeah, I can't either. Yeah, it wasn't my cup of tea.
No, mine either.
Yeah.
So you retired in what year?
2009.
2009. Wow.
Hard to believe.
Wow, has it been that long?
Yeah, it's hard to believe.
Oh my goodness. But now when we say that you've retired, that doesn't mean that you sat home and did cross stitch.
No. I cross stitched while I was teaching, but Christopher had already graduated high school and gotten set up there at the store, fish and tackle and all that stuff. So when I left Smyrna, I just went to the store. Mm-hmm. And he and I worked together for, like I said, 17 years.
Wow.
And actually, around 2010 maybe. It was after I retired. Mike was working probation, and I don't know if you remember, your husband helped. He gave him a reference to get him a job.
I do remember that, yeah.
And he went to, he was working in Kinston.
Yeah.
And he kind of felt bad about it because your husband had been so good about giving him a recommendation, but he just really did not like it.
Well, again, it's not his cup of tea.
Yeah.
I get it. Yeah.
So he came home for a year, stayed, worked at the store and that sort of thing. And then he decided he met a girl, had met a girl before he moved back home, and she loved Greenville. So he went back to Greenville, and that's when he became a Greenville police officer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I do remember that now that you mention it.
Daryl. I've just remembered his name.
Yep.
But, Kinston was a hard place to be, first job, and I think Daryl told him that. But anyway, he got into the field and got a feel for it. And
found his place.
Yeah, found his place. And
that's good.
But, Mike's like 6'4". At that time, we had a little tracker. Those little tiny things.
Yes.
And he didn't, his red truck was about to die, so we gave him that little tracker. Well, he said the first day he got there at Kinston, he pulled up his knees up to his chin, and his supervisor happened to be going in and saw him and came over. And he said he got out at that little tracker and stood up real tall. And I think it was a female, his supervisor. He said she got a good kick out of that.
I bet so.
So, but he liked the people. They were, really nice and stuff. It's like the first day he had like 120 clients, and he didn't know what he was supposed to do with any of them. But
yeah.
But he got along well for the first year or two, and then he transferred to Greenville.
That's called not really knowing how to swim and jumping overboard.
Jumping overboard.
Yeah.
They used to teach us how to swim.
That's right. That's what that's called.
Yeah.
Starting probation in Kinston.
Yeah.
So when you think about Down East, what does that mean to you?
First and foremost, it's home. And I guess the negative part is, we always felt like everybody else looked down on us.
Yeah.
And I think now everybody wants to be called Down East.
Yeah.
Big change.
Yeah. Even in Kinston.
Yeah.
I can say that. I live there now. Even in Kinston.
But, it's a place that is unique. It's probably, at least in my heart, it's different from any other place, around. And growing up, there couldn't have been a better place to be family and feel comfortable. And I think about, we slept with door open, windows open, and I wouldn't dare do that now,
right.
But I'm glad I lived there, grew up there, family's there. Now my oldest cousin, Chadwick's side, she probably early, between ages 1 and 5, she had vision issues, and she went to college. And she had to hold a book like inches from her eyes to be able to read. And she struggled. And she majored in social work.
Oh, wow.
And she struggled through college. And roommates were not always the kindest. Mm-hmm. But she did social work her whole life for the blind.
Wow.
And she wasn't totally blind. And she taught them how to do things that blind people do.
Yeah.
But now the state was really good to her, provided her a driver, and
That's
she
awesome.
retired from it.
Wow.
So, what obstacles she faced, she overcame. You know.
Wow. That's
So, I'm not as good a person as I think she was. You know, to be able to struggle and to do what she did.
yeah. Wow. Because
But a lot of that was family.
special. Yeah.
I know Mother helped, writing papers, and Patricia she could have written it, but it would take much longer.
Yeah.
But a family helped her along, and
Yeah. So she couldn't dictate into a cell phone or a computer
no,
at the time,
didn't
right?
have that. No,
Yeah.
do or die.
Right.
She even got in trouble one time. Blue books. Did you have those when you were in college? They don't do those anymore, but
yeah.
being unable to see clearly, she turned in the wrong blue book, and they almost kicked her out. Uncle Claude had to reach out to several people to say, hey, she's legally blind.
Wow.
So that's how things have changed.
Yes. I remember blue books. We'd had to buy them.
Yeah.
They were like 10 cents.
Yeah.
But anyway, before we took an exam
Yeah.
and had to sign. Yeah. I hated those things.
I did too.
Yeah.
And they phased those out probably not too long after you went through
Yes.
that sort of thing. But,
yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Well, not my favorite.
One thing I just thought about it with Daddy, and my grandfather was a farmer.
Mm-hmm.
And,
Now, what kind of farming?
sweet potatoes.
Oh.
I think mainly sweet potatoes. The thing that amazes me is that they would load up this old truck, and they drove to New York carrying sweet potatoes.
What?
Yes.
So they grew them?
They grew them and shipped some up there, and maybe along the way they dropped off some too. But they took them to New York and dropped off the sweet potatoes.
Wow.
Now, remember when we did the plaques for each community?
Yes.
And
Yes.
so Dennis, my cousin, had a picture of him in the field where where Christopher's house is now, eating a raw sweet potato.
Oh,
Isn't
my
that funny?
goodness. Yes.
They had a horse, which is why Daddy probably never let me have a horse, because they are a lot of trouble, a lot of work. But they were farmers, and none of the siblings ever wanted to be a farmer. And the other part of that story is that Daddy decided one time, I guess before he got married to my mother, he was going to be a fisherman. But I cannot think of anybody in Straits that were fishermen.
I'm glad you said that, because I have tried to think,
I
and
don't think
and
anybody.
I've asked Dad.
Yeah, I don't think anybody in Straits or Gloucester even
Yeah.
were fishermen. They were farmers.
Farmers.
But anyway, so Daddy was tried it one time. He had a boat. Of course, he had a boat anyway, but got it rigged up to go fishing, whatever. I think he did it one time. And he came and said, hey, for me. So he dropped the fish and stuff.
Wow. Now, where was the farmland? Where were the sweet potatoes?
Where the house is now.
Right.
And then at that time, all the way to where Daddy's sister, Evelyn, the White House where Paul and Doug grew up, all of that was farmland.
Wow.
And across the road, right beside where Uncle Walter's house Dennis lives there now, was farmland.
Wow.
And it was mainly sweet potatoes. They had some other stuff too, I guess, but mainly.
Wow, that's
They had that
interesting.
horse, they had goats, and I don't think they had pigs. They have. But where the boat ramp is now,
Yes.
when they started digging up to put the concrete and all that stuff, that's where the Whitehurst family that lived on that shoreline over there had pigs.
Mm-hmm.
And the smell of the dirt was
Really?
not good. Yeah.
After all these years.
Yes, it was embedded.
Oh my goodness.
But I don't think my
That's funny.
granddaddy had pigs. They had chickens, of course, and goats.
Mm-hmm. And so it's funny as you're talking, when we talk to, like, say, people from Harkers Island or even further down east, like, say, Cedar Island, when you talk about eating fresh, we automatically, our minds go to, fish, clams, whatever.
Yeah.
But y'all ate a different kind of fresh. I mean, I'm sure you ate seafood too.
Yeah.
But when you talk about, like, sweet potatoes, and you all had it.
We had vegetables,
You had vegetables.
And as far as the meat and stuff, I can't even remember what my grandparents may have had as far as meat. Maybe chicken. They'd kill chickens, obviously.
Right.
And do that. And I don't think they ate goat meat, but...
Mm-hmm.
I really don't know that. That's
Yeah.
a good question, though.
Yeah, when you were talking, I was like that, and because Harker's Island Straits were right there,
Yeah,
but it was very different.
very different. Now, Daddy used to say that, I mean, shrimp were not a delicacy, you
No,
know? People didn't
not like
eat.
now.
No,
Mm-mm.
not like now. And they would take shrimp and use that as fertilizer in the garden.
Wow.
Why, I don't know, but I guess it worked because
Well,
they
yeah,
used it.
because I know I've heard of using like the shells.
Yeah,
You
and maybe it
know,
was just the shells, or maybe they threw the whole. I don't know,
they probably threw
but
the whole
they,
thing in the
yeah.
beginning.
So that's kind of weird.
That is.
Hmm.
Those potatoes were eating good.
Yeah, yeah,
They were, yeah. That's
exactly.
why they sold up north.
Yeah,
Wow, that's so interesting to me. Okay, you got my wheel spinning now
I
because
know.
that's really cool. Is there anything that we haven't touched on that you would like to share?
Um, there's this lady named Amy Muse. I don't know that she's even still living today, but she did a lot of Chadwick genealogy,
Mm-hmm.
and so she had a link to all of her charts and stuff. So I downloaded that. It was like 30, 40, 50 pages. I thought, good
Wow.
grief. But I started looking through that and I'm thinking, oh, my word. Pigots, Stewarts, Gaskells, everybody. I'm thinking, we're all related.
Uh-huh.
You know, so I thought, put that away. But that was interesting to me, the ties in all the families that lived in the, even all of down these communities, you know?
Yes. Yeah.
But when I stopped to think about it, people didn't travel to another, like to Beaufort or Moorhead, you know, to socialize. It was all church related pretty much. So you kind of married in the community. So I wonder we don't have four eyes, you know?
I know.
But that's why there were so many links to Down East names in that genealogy of Chadwicks, because we're all kind of related.
Right.
We got, you know, hooked up with us. They're neighbors, you know, than one from different communities. But I thought that was always interesting.
That is interesting. Well, and it's true. Even when I was growing up, I mean, the furthest that we would go is we would go to Front Street.
Yeah.
You know, and ride around to see the same people
Yeah,
that we
yeah.
left with.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
But I mean, it wasn't. We didn't leave the island very
Yeah.
much. I mean, when we went to high school, we'd go to East Carteret, but that was about as
Yeah.
far, you know.
Yeah,
But we didn't question it.
exactly.
Like didn't want to.
Yeah, no, we're
I
good.
mean, not saying anything derogatory, but
Yeah.
didn't want to go to Moorhead.
No,
You know, didn't want to go that far, let alone go.
I don't want to go there now.
Still don't. I still come down. I avoid it.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, that's so funny.
I'll tell you another story about Daddy. He and Stacy Davis over here, they worked two different grocery stores. Front Street Beaufort had like 3 grocery stores, I think, at least 2. Stacy worked in one and Daddy worked in another. Yeah. And they rode together. They would take turns driving and stuff, going to work. So one night, Daddy must have got off before Stacy did, and Stacy had driven. So Daddy got in the back seat. He was tired and sleepy, so he fell asleep. Well, in the meantime, Stacy's still working, and 2 guys come up, jump in the car, and they're stealing the car. And Daddy's in the back seat asleep, and he sits up, and when he does, scared them to death, and they jumped out the car and ran. Dad told Stacey, said, I have been stolen. They have come and taken me right away. But Daddy knew more people growing up from Parker's Island than I knew, because I hardly knew anybody to Parker's Island. You know, going through school, I went to Smyrna.
Right.
And so he had some friends over here that I didn't have growing up, you know. But yeah, he and Stacy worked together.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah, Stacy is my people.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And the first friends I had on Harker's Island were Barbara Yeomans.
Oh, good one.
And Karen.
Oh, good one.
Barbara, of course, I was a freshman. She was a sophomore, and we were cheerleaders. So that's how we, became friends. And then that's how I met Karen.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
So,
wow. That's funny.
Yeah.
I know when I was coming through middle school, because of numbers, we had to start joining teams with Smyrna.
Yeah.
And so that we would learn people and get to know people.
Yeah.
But then East Carter is when it was like, wow.
Yeah.
That's backing up just a little bit when you said that you transferred as principal in the administration to West Carteret.
Mm-hmm.
I can imagine like you walking in and thinking like, what? Because it's a whole different world.
Well, you stop and think in high school, such rivalry.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and
Yeah.
I thought, here I am at West Carteret.
Am I a traitor?
Yeah, I felt, and then and you had to wear of course, when I was at Croatown, we called it the cougar wear. You had to wear cougar wear. So
you were a cougar.
I was a cougar. Yeah. Not that kind, but kind.
Yes.
But so when you went west, I had to have a few, items of
red.
Patriot wear.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was. But I really enjoyed it because I got to meet a lot of people that I would never have known.
Yeah.
Teresa Everett, that has worked here at the museum.
Yes. Yeah.
I wouldn't have not known her. And
Yeah.
a lot of folks that I still have contact with.
Yeah, good stuff.
Yeah.
Well, I teach at Randall Parrott Academy, and we are Patriots. And it took me a little while to say that out loud.
Yeah.
Because it's so ingrained in you.
Exactly.
Like, no.
Yep.
Well, this has been wonderful, and time has flown. Any parting words for anyone about our area or your family or anything?
I'm proud to be a Chadwick. Christopher is, and like I said, Mike's not into family genealogy and stuff, but I wish my children had had the opportunity to experience the family life that we had then. I mean, they had great experiences growing up, but they didn't have my aunts and uncles.
Yeah.
That to get to know, just the cousins and that sort of thing. When I look around and I see the people that I have no clue who they are, but they have found Straits. One of Daddy's sisters, she would be horrified to know that there were people living in Straits that I did not know who they are.
Right.
But I mean, it's a nice little community. It's not a community like it used to be, but the area is beautiful. I just can't say anything, but I love where I came from, and I love that I'm still here.
Yes.
So.
Yes, and I totally agree, and we love that you're still here too.
Yep.
Yes. Well, thank you so much for giving us part of your day and for sharing your story. And keep doing what you're doing. You contribute a lot to our communities, and we appreciate you greatly.
Well, thank you. I'm glad I can be of assistance.
Be careful saying that.
I know.
Karen will hear this.
I know. Karen wants me to get into the photo project again.
Well, that would be fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, I kind of started, I didn't start it, but we did it together, I guess. But I still have the material and the pictures that I gathered when I was doing that. But
yeah, well, that would be good. Needs to be done.
It needs to be done.
You heard it, Karen. She said she's doing it.
Sarah kind of told her. I hadn't heard from her since I hadn't called because we're doing so many projects at home right now. But yeah, I want to get
that would be awesome.
Some involved.
Well, good. Maybe I'll see you around here.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Come back anytime.
Okay.
Thank you again for joining us to The Landing. This podcast is brought to you by the Core Sound Waterfowl Museum and Heritage Center. I am your host, Stacy Davis Baisden, and today's podcast was produced by April Davidson. Tune in next week as we continue learning, sharing, and remembering together. If you'd like to hear more, check out our previous episodes where you get your podcasts. Until then, stay safe and be kind.